In this video, we're going to cover policies, specifically the what, guidance around policies, exceptions to policies, oversight related to the policies, and implementation of the policies. So first of all, what is a policy? A policy provides clarity and direction. It is not how the policy is to be implemented. The next thing of policies are implementation guidance, which are the constraints. So as part of implementation guidance, we have procedures, which allow us to segregate duties of one person from another person. This is a very specific guidelines into what's going to happen. So who's going to engage in this activity? When we have decisions, who's going to make those specific decisions? Another part is process. Process is less detailed specifications of what actions should be taken, but they do provide a managerial or professional guidance. Another thing that provides implementation guidance is baselines. These are the bare minimum specifications that we need to follow in order to ensure that our machines are protected. In line with baselines, we also have what is called best practice. So a lot of companies can look to partner companies or organizations to determine how they are doing things. And based on this, they have recommended practices that they can engage in to ensure that their information is secure. The next part of implementation guidance is accountability. Accountability is making sure that people are held liable for what they have done, and sanctions will be implemented if something goes wrong. And the last piece of implementation guidance is ethics. So ethics is a person's system of value. So depending on your level of employment is going to determine what kind of ethics you're going to have to engage in. Some higher employees are going to have better ethics, as they are going to be the ones that set good examples for their other employees. The next part of policies is exception handling, which are exceptions to the constraint. So if I were to ask you what percentage of employees admit to being able to bypass any security controls in place, what would you say? Well, according to CyberArk Software Inc., 74% said that they would be able to bypass security controls. So we need to make sure that we have specific exceptions that we want available to certain employees, but others should be blocked, and so that employees are not doing things or shouldn't be interacting with our data and information. The next part of policies is oversight, which is to help improve implementation and enforcement. So first we have promulgation, which is basically making users aware. So this is through various training techniques. This could be videos or specific classroom settings where you train individuals on the importance of cybersecurity. The next part of oversight is electronic monitoring. So even though we train our employees, we're going to continually monitor what they're doing on their computers to be able to hold them accountable for what they've done. This might include screen recordings of what they're doing, keystrokes, etc. As an individual, you need to understand that when you're using organizational computers, everything that you do belongs to them, and so they are fully able to record everything that you're doing. The next part of oversight is security metrics, which are indicators of security, success, or failure. So as we look at these indicators, we'll notice that many individuals are going to engage in good security behavior. We're going to reward those who engage in good security behavior, and those that don't, we're going to penalize. Additionally, we'll also pay attention to the technology tools that are going to monitor and track specific behaviors of other individuals to be able to determine if we need to change our policies and procedures to better protect our assets. The next part of oversight is auditing. Auditing is taking samples of your information to develop an opinion about the adequacy of controls. So when I was an IT auditor, I would go into companies and I would ask them specific questions to see how they are ensuring that their systems are secure. And I would come and write it all up, and then we would report that back to the organization, pointing out where they're doing well and where they could step things up. Additionally, we need an anonymous protected hotline for employees to report problems without having it being attached to their person, because employees might be afraid of reporting things for fear of retribution or negative consequences associated with their employees or upper management. You may also want to offer incentives to those who report things that are serious problems. The next thing you're going to want to pay attention to are behavioral awareness. So misbehavior often occurs before serious security breaches. Some employees might exhibit problematic behavior. This may be due to familial problems, financial problems, or being disgruntled against your organization. Regardless of what the motivation is, we need to make sure that we are able to address this before it becomes a serious problem. The next thing of oversight is fraud. Fraud has an abuse triangle that contains three parts. Opportunity, which is the ability to commit abuse. So if you have like that disgruntled employee we're talking about that sees that there's an opportunity for them to steal money or to impact the organization in a certain way, we need to first limit that opportunity. Second, we need to remove pressure. So if someone is financially not doing well, we need to be able to talk to them and see what we can do to be able to help them. This does not just include financial problems, but it includes greed, poor performance, unreasonable performance expectations, etc. So we need to be able to curb that pressure from the employee so that they'll have a better reason to interact with our organizational data in the correct way possible. And then the third part of the fraud triangle is rationalization. As people experience opportunity and feel pressure to do some things, they might rationalize their behavior. And there's a whole wealth of research with regard to rationalization, also known as neutralization. And finally, we want to make sure that we have sanctions for those who are caught so that they're punished. This is to ensure that others will not engage in the same behavior and that those that we do punish, if not fired, that they will change their ways. The last thing is the implementation, as you incorporate all that to develop an effective security solution. So now what I want you to do is take a moment to answer the following questions related to 2 or 3 policies in your life. This exercise is more or less meant to be a self-reflection, as there are many different policies that could be evaluated. Thanks for watching my video. Feel free to click the links here to watch the next video of the playlist, continue to the next playlist, or subscribe.